Hey there, YouTube. Jeremy here with the Arkansas Planet Aquarium Club, and I have been away for about 2.5 weeks, not really present to maintain my tanks. And I'm going to be going around and just looking at each of them and checking on their condition. I had some wonderful friends who came by and helped. They fed my fish, fed my cats, and such while I was away. In the southwest states for a while, a couple of weeks. And anyway, I think it's time to just go through and get a look at some things. Much of my hobby is just kind of in disarray right now, so this is kind of going to be a train wreck video, but let's see what's out there. So let's begin with tank A. It's it's really healthy, like really healthy right now, but there are quite a few floaters. And sorry, I'm stepping over a tank that I just it's been sitting here testing for like 3 weeks. I drained half the water out, but I need to get it out of the way. But going over here and checking this tank, probably the main thing I'm concerned with is the duckweed in the top. I'm going to be removing some of that. Something that's really cool, this is centipede grass. I've never seen someone even attempt to grow this in an aquarium, but this was something that was growing actually in my grandmother's front yard. It was just a cool grass that I've always liked, and from time to time I've taken little clippings of it and just thought, there's got to be some way of using this really interesting grass. So I tried to just root it in the water, and to my surprise, a nearly dead, dried out, crispy bit that looked kind of like this just kept growing. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this is centipede grass. Gets its name from its growth habit. Can't really see it from this angle, but if you were looking down on it from above, it's segmented. Okay, I think I understand why it's called centipede grass. That guy doesn't need to be in here. He's supposed to be in a different tank. We'll see if I can do something about that in a little while. Maybe it's the time right now while I lost him already. No, there he is. Lots and lots and lots of guppy grass in here. It's time to do a major harvest so the plants lower down can actually get some light. They're not receiving enough artificial sunlight right now. And the guppies, the ancestris, they seem okay. The plants, for the most part, seem okay. There's just too much growth. So let me back up again and see if I can give you a shot of, jungle growth. Tank A, 55-gallon Central American tank. Above that, this tank is just dark. It's another 55, kind of like the one that I was stepping over just a second ago. This is a convict cichlid tank, but right now it's got so many floaters up above it. And I think there's some diatoms on the front of the glass also, but these guys are it's similarly really healthy tank, doing great, but it's hard to see. I need to free up, remove some plants so more light penetrates. Now, in this tank, there aren't any plants down low because these are convict cichlids. Even if I were to have plants down in the substrate, they would fix that problem for me. But I can't really see what's going on in here just because there are so many plants up here. So I'm going to be going through and removing some floaters. That's mostly red root floater. And there are a few nice looking water lettuce up there, but it's time. I need to make it such that I can see in this tank. Otherwise, it's healthy as well. Wiggling down into this area, this was a tank that I was growing some guppy fry in. Now, to my knowledge, I think I've gotten all those out, but it just needs probably a water test, a check, see how it's going. Um, Looks like it needs a top off, maybe fill the water level up to about here or so. Similarly over here, no fish in this little tank. This has red reely shrimp, so Neocaridina shrimp, and it is just to the point where it's kind of hard to see what's going on in there. It's got some ram's horns. Looks like a gray and a brown ram's horn in there, and I just need to remove some of that Amazon frog bit. Looks like there was a little bit of food that got dropped on that, but much like the little thing beside it, it needs a top off, and it needs to have some of these floaters removed. Now this is a cool little system. It also seems to need the pre-filter sponge on this little hang-on back cleaned out, cleared out. There's not a lot of water flow there, so that's something that will need to be addressed here. And gosh, it's probably been a month since I've messed with this. Something that's kind of cool here, look at this green algae that's in the top of this sponge right there. That's just kind of lovely. So I've, been watching it, checking it out. I've never quite seen something like that before. So letting that go and do its thing. Moving over here to the little Goldie tank. There were 3 of these when I first set up this little tank. Now, one of my neighbors gave me this. I'm gonna guess it's a 5 gallon. It might be a 7. It's pretty small. I think it's a 5 gallon. But people were just giving me these little feeder Goldies, and it's not that I wanted them, but I was willing to adopt them. One of them got attacked by my goldfish, so I ended up moving it, and it just wasn't looking very well. It lived several weeks after I established this tank, but did perish. And then right before I left town, I noticed another one just wasn't doing well. Now, I kind of suspect they were just sick fish that when I got them, because it didn't live long. It lived maybe a month after the time I got it. That's not very common around here for fish to die a month after I get them. They usually live for a really, really long time and then have babies, and then the population just grows and grows and grows and grows and grows. Kind of like that. Let's peek down here. So, 20 gallon Asian themed tank. I think this is tank D, tank Delta. White clouds and cherry barbuses. And that cherry barb was adopted also. This tank I came through earlier today and just started pulling some Salvinia minima out of the top, and I think I'll continue doing this. I don't necessarily need any floaters in this tank, but I put them in there months ago because there was an algae issue on, let's see, it was the Vallisneria toward the back. I just started seeing a little bit of hair algae growing on it, and I thought, you know what, I've got a solution for that. Dim the lights and reduce some water chemistry by throwing floaters in. So floating plants can really, really be your friend. They will end algae growth problems in a tank. You just have to make sure that they don't get to the point where they've totally covered the tank to block out the light. It'll be obvious. As long as you can still see your plants, you're doing good. When it gets really dark like this, okay, you got a problem. It's time to remove some floaters, right? Otherwise, this tank's doing really well. Water chemistry seems good, fish seem good, plants seem good, check mark, we're moving on. Wiggling into my foyer, this place is just a mess. I still haven't unpacked from my trip, and my daughter had a birthday over the weekend, so I'm stepping over boxes and little toy stuff and little gift bags from gift stores and visitor centers and stuff all over the Southwest US. But let's get a peek down in here. This is White Cloud Mosaic Gups. This tank, first off, it's got the wrong light on it. The light that should be on this tank is sitting up here. This lamp was sitting on that tank, but it was removed because this tank, I can't remember what was going on. There was too much light. I can't exactly remember what the issue was. I think some of the Siswasertang just was maybe getting a little bit of algae in it or something, but I can't quite recall what the issue was. I removed it a couple of months ago, and I don't see a good reason why to leave that off. So I'm probably going to move this lamp. What is this? This is a Seora. It's going to go back on that other 10 gallon. This is probably a 5 gallon. This lamp is probably going to move back down to this tank. This lamp was previously sitting down on this tank, and there was just a little bit, similarly, there was a little bit of algae growth in the hornwort right here. So I thought, you know what, I know the solution to that. You just remove the light, cool. We'll probably add another lamp, probably a low power light down in here. Sorry for those reflections, but this tank has gone most of its life without a dedicated light. In other words, it just receives ambient light from the room around, and it's fine. I don't think that there's an actual need to put a lamp back in here. There looks like there's a need for a little bit of a top off, maybe some checking things out. Over here with the angels, what I'm seeing most is there's some diatoms growing on the glass here. So I'll come through with a white, what do we call them? It's not truly a magic eraser. This is the Amazon brand. I buy these in like 40 packs. And then, well, heck, I'll just give you a demo. So this doesn't have any chemistry on it. It's just a piece of foam. But they're really good, really good for removing diatoms. Some people call diatoms brown algae. They are not an algae. They are a diatom. Or heck, there might be 30 species of diatoms in here. I don't know. But diatoms are the things that make your toilet turn brown if you haven't cleaned it. They're the things that bloom in new aquariums. Almost all new aquariums go through a diatom bloom phase, and it causes kind of a brown haze on the glass. They're growing on all surfaces in the tank, but there, that looks as better. It's more better. I like it. So angels have this tank basically to themselves. It's a 37-gallon cube. Like all of my tanks, it's soil under pool filter sand. I say all, like almost all of my tanks. The ones, two of them I adopted aren't that way. One that I set up myself is not built that way. However, soil under sand is just the win. It's the win. If you're not doing it, like, get on the boat, dude. It's, taking lessons from nature, applying them, creating a huge biofilter out of your substrate. Pool filter sand is just the right size granules to really allow nutrients to pass and waste to make its way down into the substrate, down into the soil, where it can be processed by biology. Anyway, I think this is doing pretty well. Something I did earlier today, I don't think this is going to work, but right here, that looks like a pile of dead Riccia fluitans to me. I grabbed 2 clumps from a tub that wasn't getting enough light and probably has a pH problem, but the Riccia fluitans just didn't seem to be thriving, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to just toss it in here. We'll see what happens. Either it will make it or it won't. Either way, it's not that big of a deal. I have more. But above this tank is some really cool stuff. Chinese evergreen, dragon wing begonias, potatoes. Yeah, that's literally just eyes off of potatoes that were broken off and stuck in here before I went on a vacation. Tradescantia, aroids, pothos, Mexican petunia. Where's the Mexican petunia? Right there. This plant right here will make lovely purple flowers. It's a pretty common garden plant, at least down here in the South. More of the begonias. This tank looks like it is just jamming along. Like maybe the only problem it has is some duckweed that I need to remove. This is another 37 gallon, but it's a very different form factor, meaning it's a different shape. So one of the things I'm doing is just going around and pulling leaves because I haven't been here to do that. So looking above, yeah, lots of begonias, pothos vines. I kind of have to duck in this area. This is one of my workspaces, so it's not like really pretty, but I have to duck down in this area to get under here because the pothos and all the lighting, the cords from the lamps and such are just kind of in the way, and I'm not short. So looking over here, what do we have here? This looks like a pothos vine that years ago was placed here, and it is no longer needing this part of the vine. So let's look back here and just see. I can probably cut it in this area or something and we'll just remove this brown vine. I'll do that later. Let's get a look down in this tank though. I've got a fondness for this tank. For one, it has some homebrew award-winning guppies. I call these flame gups. I've apparently got a note on here that says light. That was resolved quite a long time ago, so we can erase that. Thank you, Higer, for helping me resolve that. This tank, oh, you know what? Let's talk about that. So this has a Dunker Pro, a Higer Dunker Pro 24/7, pretty awesome light in it. There's the control module for it. Lots of functionality here. The cool thing about a Dunker Pro is you can dunks it under the water and it keeps working. So why would anybody want to do that? Well, if you have a tank that might be kind of tall, right? Kind of tall and a little bit narrow, like from one side to the other, front to back, it's kind of narrow. And you get a lot of plants in here as such, and it can be very, very dark toward the bottom reaches of the tank. So Higer helped me come up with a solution for that by sending me one of these Dunker Pros, and I'll probably put a link in the description and a discount code you guys can use if you like. Higer is one of my very favorite aquarium accessory light companies, manufacturers. I just think they offer a superior product for a superior price. I buy a lot of aquarium lights, and I keep going back to Higer for a couple of really obvious reasons. They make really good products. Even their lamps that aren't supposed to be underwater work when they're fully full of water and submerged. They're not supposed to. They just do because they make good stuff, and I appreciate them for that. Most people don't, or most manufacturers don't really go the extra mile. They do. So enough about that. If you want, check the link in the description. I'll throw it in there. Some cool mosses. These are native Arkansas mosses that happen to do really well in an aquatic submerged environment. There's also, I wish I had a place to put these, but I don't. That's Ponogeton, but it's not an Arkansas plant. So this is an Arkansas tank, minus the guppies, of course. Guppies, not really from Arkansas. Sure, they've lived here for 100 years, but they're not really from here. And we have our own species of live bearers that they would compete against. However, and that's Gambusia, eastern and western Gambusia, mosquito fish. So, yeah, in a perfect world, I would have the guppies out of here and maybe some western Gambusia in here, and it would be more of an Arkansas tank. And I would remove the Ponogeton and put it in another tall tank, like maybe the 150 gallon over there or something, but it's empty right now. But it takes a really tall tank, right? So this is like a 24 It looks about 24 inches tall. It's not tall enough. Like, I wouldn't really need like a 36 to 40-inch deep tank to really allow that plant to do what it needs to. Up on the top of this tank, so I took all the Riccia fluitans out some months ago. It looks like I dropped one little chunk back down in there, and it's probably just going to be eaten by the ram's horns. Ram's horns are not from Arkansas, by the way, also. There were Malaysian trumpet snails, pond snails, maybe bladder snails, and ram's horns in here. And I'm a friend of the snails, so I let them hang out. They're not a problem. This tank doesn't get fed a lot, so the snails don't explode in population. Let's look over here. This is the little tub I was telling you about earlier that had some Riccia that just wasn't doing all that great. And I'm going to guess that it's because these arrowheads, Syngonium, arrowhead plants, green arrowhead plants, they have, like, they're hoarding the light here. They're keeping it all to themselves, and it's making it hard on the other guys. It's just, I love you guys, but you're making it hard on your friends, your neighbors. That's a Domia panel light. If you like those, you can find them on Amazon. They're more expensive than they used to be, but it's just a panel that you stick wherever you like. So they do come with their own control unit, so you can, you don't have to run a timer or anything. You just plug them in and go. Very cool things. But this tub, lighting issue might have been kind of resolved now, but it's probably got a water quality issue. There's no substrate. It's just a tub, right? And there are no fish in here. There probably aren't even snails in here. It was just growing plants. But there's quite a bit of plant matter that just doesn't need to be falling down in here. It needs to be cleaned out. It's kind of gross. Yeah, I haven't been here in, weeks. And I probably should have done some tank maintenance over here prior to leaving, but I didn't. So I'm going to guess that because this is a bare bottom tub, it's got a low pH problem right now. And I will probably just break this one down rather than clean it out. Like, I'm not breeding guppies over here. It's just here. That's the same for that tub and that tub. And I guess we could talk about them also. All of these are bare bottom, I do believe. Yeah, they're all bare bottom. This one, no fishies. It's just growing some plants. And at this point, it doesn't have anything that's really doing over here. The one beside it, however, Brazilian pennywort, hydrocodil. And look how happy this stuff is. See all these blooms, the blossoms on the hydrocodil, the pennywort, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to take that as a sign of happy plant, and we've done something that at least sort of replicated nature well enough that it's doing well and happy. Skipping over, this looks like a train wreck too. See all that? This is powdery mildew growing on some Salvinia minima. Now the Salvinia I don't care about, but I don't want powdery mildew growing in and around my systems because it will cause problems. We don't want some problems. We want no problems. And generally you'll get powdery mildew on Salvinia. Now it's not really that something to fret about because powdery mildew, gosh, it's going to be in the air. Like, unless you live in the desert, it's just floating in the air around you. So if I were to drip water on the top of some Salvinia, I would expect that it's going to get powdery mildew on it. If I were to leave fish flakes, like little bits of food on top of a bit of Salvinia, I would expect that it's going to get powdery mildew growing on it. That's just something that every once in a while, if you have Salvinia minima or other plants that are susceptible to powdery mildew, you go through and you pick it out. so it doesn't become a problem. We can see that there are guppies in here. These are just mutt gups. They're blue and black, maybe tuxedos. But you know what? I haven't seen them in so long, I don't really know what they are. Similarly, over here, this was some mutt gups, overflow. And this one does actually have some substrate, so it's much more stable. It's actually a larger tub than the other four. And yeah, I really wish it didn't have that bit of duckweed growing on top of it, but since it does, we will be removing that. And that looks like the maintenance that I need to do over here. This one I'll keep. These two I will probably just tear down, pour out, set aside, maybe do something different. Heck, maybe I'll, put some substrate and some sand down in there and plant them out and just see what happens. I don't know. Don't really have a plan for that. Now I'm sort of wiggling my way into my guest bathroom, kind of in the front middle of my house. This is a little 3.5 gallon nano tank that I bought from a friend probably somewhere in the 2 to 3 years ago range. And it has just thrived. Like, I've got that Nearite's probably 4 to 5 years old. That Neon is probably in the same range, 3 to 5 years old, don't quite know. The Gups, these are actually Guppy Embler hybrids that are in here, and some of them get kind of called off by that Neon. The Tetras kind of are capable of scarfing little fishies. But earlier today, I looked in here, and some of this moss in here, one would think that it is Christmas moss because it looks super, super similar to Christmas moss. It's actually a native Arkansas feather moss that takes on a slightly different growth habit when it is submerged, and it starts to look, really hard to tell from Christmas moss, and because it has this flat growth, and you have to look really, really close to see the difference. If I had a species name, I would share it, but I don't. It was given to me by the Arkansas Herbarium, and that's just kind of great. So I appreciate those who trust me with live things, because sometimes it's hard to keep things alive, especially if you don't know really what it is, what its native environment is, and you're just guessing. It's like, well, let's try dividing our eggs up into 5 different baskets and make all those baskets kind of different and see what happens. So that's kind of what I did, and here it just thrives. And so much so that earlier today, the top of the tank was kind of covered in that moss. So I'll show you. We're on the wall just behind where I was. These are my jars where I place moss or sesquitertang or something that might have a little bit of algae in it, or if I just need a holding cell for that stuff. So I've just got, that's some algae that came from a local lake. It was like 5 feet, maybe 4 feet down. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I've never seen algae like that. So I took some home, and it's been here for like 2 years. I'm weird. Thanks for watching. These are different types of mosses. That one might be sesquitertang. No, that one's not. It's just that's sesquitertang. Okay. It's hard to see because these are kind of dirty, and the curvature of the glass kind of messes things up. Anyway, I pulled out all of that from the top of this little tank, so it was kind of hard to see in there. Now, however, we can see, and it's more bettas. More Mexican petunia, more Syngonium, green arrowids. These tend to curl up sometimes when they're not happy about something. And it could be that there are like pests in it. It could be that there's not enough nutrients. However, I don't think that's the case because the color is just fantastic here. And, sometimes we just have to look and check and figure it out. This guy kind of fell down. Let's see if we can bring it up a bit. No, it's an automatic fall to the ground spring. Cool. So, boom, it's up out of the way. Yay, now I can see that in this tank. It's much more open. The fish can swim around a lot better. Cool. I wish I could say what this is, but it's just a jar. That was kind of my place to stick some stuff. And maybe a month ago I dumped everything out, just filled it with clean water, and I don't know why it's there. It's just there. Similar with the jars. That jar. It's just there. Tradescantia, purple inch plant, Tradescantia zebrina. That's been there, gosh, a really long time. Shrimp tanks. So there are Neocaridina shrimp in these. This one here is just a half-gallon jalapeno jar. Just like that. And yeah, really hard to see in. That one doesn't have anything animal-wise living in it, at least, macro stuff. This one should have, I think, one red Neo shrimp in it. And can't see it right now. It's been a month since I've seen the thing. All of those need water tests, top-offs. This tank over here, it's another mutt guppy tank. This is another 5-gallon little thing. Big, beautiful Chinese evergreen plant growing up and out, emergent growth, as well as some more Mexican petunia. This one probably needs to be trimmed, probably down in this area, placed in another tank. This is just a really awesome, easy plant to keep if you're the sort of person who has lighting up above that, will support plants. Try some of that. Aluminum plant, let me think of the name. Pilia. And then more Synjonium. Never mind. It was kind of got some coloration problems here with this Tradescantia zebrina. It might need some. This one may just be a little bit distant from the source. You can see they're a lot prettier down that way. And then over here, it's like there's a nutrient deficiency. I'll check into that. But let's go look elsewhere. My kiddo's tank. This one just seems to be doing great right now. Previously, this tank had too much light, and it had a bunch of guppy grass in with this hornwort, and it was just toward the top of the tank. It had some algae issues. So about a month ago, I actually turned off this Hygger lamp, and that may mean that I've got a Hygger lamp that I can use somewhere else. But this tank seems to be doing just fine, just with this cheap little, this was probably like a $12 or $15 Walmart Hyper Tough brand under shelf LED. I've had it for a number of years. It's really been doing well. I've probably bought 4 of those over the years. I was quite happy with them. They sell those in a plant grow light, so blue plus, reddish pinkish equals magenta colored light. Not the best for an aquarium, but great if you're just trying to grow plants, right? In this case, this is my red metal lace guppy tank, and I want them to do well. Also, this is the only tank that I have a little bit of Proserpinaca palustris growing in here. I struggle with that plant, even though it's a native here. That's one that I struggle with here. In the past, I've had it growing so well in a native Arkansas tank. It was a 20-gallon tall. It was growing so well, I was selling cuttings of it, like monthly. Like I could sell half of it in a month and then it'd all be back. Anyway, this tank's doing really well. I'm glad that the issue that I had has been resolved. But this Proserpinaca, I'm confident that this guy right here wants more light than it's getting. So, when I'm confident that the algae isn't an issue anymore, like you can probably see just a little bit of it kind of hanging from some of that guppy grass. I It's not vibrant and green. I think it's pretty much dying off. It's got a lot of plants to compete with it, and they seem to be doing a good job. But for now, I'm happy with this tank. It doesn't need much maintenance. There are a few little pieces of duckweed up there that I'll try and remove. Otherwise, happy here. Let's go look outside. Pretty rough looking. Little ladybug, ladybird. Cool thing. Actually, I wish might want to bring that inside. They're pretty awesome. Ladybug nymphs are really good predators. I don't think the adults are. Here's one of my little, I mean, it's really just a little mosquito jar out here. Uh-oh, dropping. Let's go look in the greenhouse. Actually, nah, we're not gonna look in the greenhouse. We're gonna look at this train wreck out here. This is just my back steps. Bumblebees, Salvinia, Pistia, aka water lettuce. Some of my mosquito jars and things that are growing down here. I'm gonna take a little bit. They look terrible. They haven't been cared for in a long time. They don't even have mosquitoes in them right now. So that's just what it is. But those are free food, awesome free food for tropical fish. We're gonna go look in the greenhouse. All right. Woohoo! Super overgrown in here, but these things are just doing great. I'll probably do a end of summer super discount sale on some floating plants just to clear out this greenhouse. But shade grown water lettuce, oh my gosh, these are awesome. They're so awesome. They're so awesome. I just hate that at this time of year it's time to break them down. I haven't been out here in a while. I think there are kittens living out here underneath the boardwalk here. So that just is what it is. But I like kitties. Earlier today, I went out to my carport and I found 3 kittens. One orange tabby, and a gray tabby, and a calico. I think I can actually hear something under me right now. Oh, this tub just looks like salvinia and duckweed. Kind of looks like the same over there. And, oh, bonking my head on some of the other stuff. I think that's about it for the aquatic plants. Let's go look inside. I did decide to peek in these cat litter buckets just to see what's going on. Doesn't look like there are too many. There are quite a few mosquitoes. I'm probably on the next, within the next couple of weeks, I'll get some good mosquito harvests out of this. But yeah, I'm going back inside now. Alrighty tighty, made it back in to the living room, and I get to start kind of planning out what to do here. So I'm gonna start with this tank, and I'll probably pull about 1 pound of guppy grass from this tank, and maybe drop a line to some friends who own some local fish stores in my state, and just see if they want to buy some bulk wholesale guppy grass, hornwort, things like that, so I can really get these tanks back down to looking good. There's probably going to be a 1/4 pound of red root floater Philanthus fluitans coming out of this tank, and then small amounts, just retail amounts of Amazon frog bit. I could probably wholesale some pistia, actually probably nothing. I've got 3 tubs plus a couple of tanks of water lettuce. We'll try to do some wholesaling of that, make some people some sweet deals. This tank's kind of rocking along. I don't think I really need to do that much. Getting back into this area, maybe just removing some duckweed out of the top of that tank and shuffling some lights around like I was talking earlier, and then this stuff will be good. That light bothers me sitting on this. That one's kind of cool sitting over this, but It's not really appropriate. That lamp needs to be back on this tank. And then, yeah, we'll do some water chemistry. Otherwise, if you enjoy seeing this kind of thing, definitely stick with me. Drop a line, like, subscribe. I will show you what I've done as I do my fall cleaning here in Central Arkansas, and what actually starts happening with these things, because there are going to be some changes. I've just been really busy kind of at the end of the summer, beginning of fall, and I let everything fall apart. So that's my train wreck video for, for now. And we'll start looking at what it starts to evolve into as I go through and do some major maintenance. Things will look a bit better. They'll clean up. They'll start being bright and shiny and new again, as they always do. How are you guys doing? You're pretty. You're beautiful. I love you. Love you guys too. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.